I'm Rob, and it's good to be here. I've had a difficult day today, helping a few people who are in palliative care. So having a tough time, but glad to be in this beautiful space.
I am Adele, and I was hesitating to come today here because I live far away, and I thought, one of my counselors told me, I think that's a good workshop, so she was encouraging me to come, and she told me probably it was gonna help me out, so here I am.
I'm Helena. I had a busy day from morning till now. It's the first chance I have to sit down for a second. That's why I'm here to rest a little.
I'm Shira. I had a pretty good day. Ran around quite a bit, but I'm really happy to be here.
My name is Ahari. I'm relieved to be away from my desk today. Usually I work pretty late, and it was nice to come do something different and not be at my desk staring at a screen. I'm a software engineer, and so it gets a little old after a bit sometimes. Yeah.
I'm Laura Rosenthal. I'm still at work. This is my work. I'm the executive director, but I'm here on my own time because I'm really interested in this topic, and I'm sick of sitting doing that all day. That's been a good day.
I'm Rob. I had a very full day, and I thought I was all talked out and reached my work out. But I'm getting a second wind being here tonight.
Good. As you know, I'm Jody, and I'm having a good day. This is my favorite thing to do, so it's a good thing.
I'm Max. I'm alive, and I slept.
I'm Dan. My day started at 5 a.m. with hockey practice for my son, and a bar mitzvah, and conversion, and counseling sessions. But I got a nap in the middle of my day, and that was awesome.
Do it.
I'm Sophia. I am nervous, and I finished a book that I really like, so I'm happy.
Hi, I'm Diana, and I had a really great day. It was my first day volunteering, so I'm really happy.
Excellent, and we could all applaud. Yeah.
And Sophia, you don't seem nervous to me. And also, as soon as you say an emotion, you feel better. So just labeling, you did a very good thing there by saying you were nervous. By saying we're nervous, we actually don't feel as nervous anymore. It's an amazing thing. Okay, so you did well. Okay.
Is this being live streamed?
It is.
Yes, yeah, but
Now
I'm
it's
not
all on you.
asking you to share your personal, you know.
Nobody's watching it, so.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Except a couple of my friends, maybe. Okay. Now, those of us who were born before cell phones and the interweb, I grew up without any technology. What is that like, right? Well, some of us here know what that's like. I think it was so great. Great. So I'm really, listen, except for one thing. I love the ways. I love being told where to go when I'm driving. Love that. It's genius. Okay, because I get lost anywhere. I could turn around and get lost, even if it's my own street. Okay. The thing is, we are growing up in such an interesting time when it comes to the technology. But there's always a flip side, and the technology seems to be taking us away from our own thoughts and from the people around us and from the flowers blooming and from, oh look, the neighbor painted their garage. Not sure about that color. But if our heads are in our devices, we don't see anything. We're not living in the moment, we're not being mindful. Kids now more than ever are experiencing social anxiety. Sometimes we're too quick to self-diagnose, and that's what I think about what's going on with the kids these days. They go, I have social anxiety, I just can't. And it's like, yeah, I could have said that about myself when I was young, but I did. So what? We all get anxious. We're losing our ability to just be uncomfortable in social situations when we always were. We just had to. So you went to a dance when you were young. You didn't put your head in the phone pretending like you were messaging friends when you really weren't. You know, how many of us do that? And pretending I'm so popular. I'm so busy. Oh, somebody's just getting in touch with me. All you're doing is reading the Bay sale, right? Oh, I'm very, very busy.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was young, you walked into a party and you're like, stared at the floor, especially the boys really stared at the floor. And then at some point you make eye contact and you're like, hi. And then eventually, you know, you walk over and you have a conversation and everything starts to ease. But listen, you have to overcome it. You have to push. You have to realize that this anxiety, social anxiety that everyone's saying they have, I'm not saying people don't. Some people really do, I guess. But I'm also saying we have to gather for a birthday party, and instead of actually talking to each other and making eye contact, they're all sitting there on their devices.
Can I just say something? It's interesting because I feel, as someone who's very extroverted, never had a hard time talking to people, I often feel like the conversation goes that way, where the people who have, I'm just, like, people are encouraged to get over their social anxiety, but there isn't a conversation necessarily with the people who don't feel that way about opening up the conversation or stepping out of their comfort zone. I don't know if I'm expressing myself correctly, but I feel like we have a larger cultural problem of kind of cliquishness and comfort, even, like, I just feel like so much pressure is put on people who aren't comfortable instead of the people who are comfortable to get out of their comfort zone.
Well, what I say, I think that even if you're comfortable and an extrovert like me, I still dip into my device in public. So it doesn't matter if I'm comfortable. It's still a little work for me to do the social thing with strangers. So if in certain circumstances, I find myself doing that, and I say, Jody, put your phone away and just look around the room, it's okay, you know? So even if I am an extrovert, I'm still dipping into that. And the other thing is, for the extroverts, your job is then to use your power for good and bring out people by asking a question, right? Making a joke. So I would say it's incumbent on us to try to engage with people if we're good at it, you know. But you know, my parents, my friends' kids, they get a little mad at me because I'm always like, hey, put that away. We're in public, like we're talking, you know. And I get really, I don't know, it's push pull. It's really challenging right now. And if you just, you know, so I guess us outgoing people could be kind of trying to help them with their comfort levels. Yes.
Two things. One, to piggyback onto what Shira said, you know, I think that sometimes, and I'm an introvert, but I notice in conversations, when I'm in conversations with extroverts, that they fill the space, they take all the oxygen, and like you said, to use their power for good. To recognize that if you don't leave space for people to talk, then you're never going to be in conversation, right? Because they're doing all the talking. And then the second, I just think it's so interesting that you pointed out, and I think it's so true, is that, you know, when I was growing up, we didn't have devices either, and so you did find yourself in those very awkward, uncomfortable situations of, you know, being in a room, a dance or whatever it was, and not having any place to go, and you know, you couldn't get the wall flat. Hide any further into the corner or the wall than you were, and sometimes that manifested in just not going. I mean, but so maybe the devices are allowing kids to go into those situations where they wouldn't go otherwise because they have that lifeline. They have, you know, the life preserver, if you would. But I agree, it is so easy to escape in the presence of others by just pulling out the device and being in your house and not learning that inner strength will overcome that initial anxiety, which may just be that. It may not be deep rooted. It may just be that initial anxiety that we all have, and the device gets away. Just pushing through that, and that little win that you get. Like I made it into the room and I actually entered into the conversation.
Yeah, and that is a win, that's for sure. And I like what you said about that, and that's why as an extrovert, I really do my best to bring people out, and I'm getting better and better as I get older, because I teach this, but also it's really an interest of mine to be totally supportive to the people I'm around, and for people to be able to open up to me, and me not to even interject when they pause. And what you find when you're talking to people and you just allow the pause is sometimes they have something else to say that had you started talking, you would have missed a gem. How many times have I just waited and something came out and I was like, oh, wow, that was a breakthrough for them, and I got to be play witness to it and allow them to be vulnerable in front of me. It's like, it makes me feel so useful, you know? Now, the thing is about being somewhere else, let's just say you're on Facebook when you're in a crowd, like with your friends, right? You know, the truth is that mindfulness really, and being in the moment, really does make you happier. If you look back on a memory of being at a party and you were on the phone the entire time, you're not going to remember that party. Your memories of that party are not going to be the same, you know, because you weren't there, you were multitasking. So it's something to consider if you feel like being happy. So far, 100% of my studies show that everybody wants to be happy. Like seriously, I'll ask groups, you know, big audience, you know, how many people here want to be happy, and everybody. So I'm like, okay, I think I want to. I'm working on it, and we all suffer from various levels of depression at times, or anxiety, or anger, etc. Emotions, difficult times, sure. And happiness is not constant, but you know, we can definitely have more of it throughout our day if we just are in the moment. What about when you're walking your dog and you notice that there's, like lately, and you notice that there's buds on the trees, and you go, oh, there's buds, and do you see the buds on the trees? Spring is here! I'm so glad I moved from Montreal, and as they're expecting 50 centimeters. Anyway, so you know, those moments, life is not the same if we don't truly just immerse ourselves in those, and that's what I try to really encourage people to do, especially young people, because they grew up with the devices so they don't know. And they go, well, you're just old, you don't know. And I'm like, I'm old, so I do know, actually. But anyway, that's another story. So Turkle also wrote a book, Alone Together, Why We Expect More from Technology and Less from Ourselves. And she writes, face-to-face conversation unfolds slowly. It teaches patience. When we communicate on our digital devices, we learn different habits. We start to expect faster answers, right? Why aren't they answering right away? I texted them 30 seconds ago. What's wrong? Oh, they hate me. Anyway, to get these, we ask one another simpler questions when we're texting. We dumb down our communications, even on the most important matters. And to just kind of really show how, and to really send the message home of what the world looks like now, I'm just going to play this video for you. Uh-oh. What happened to the sound?
Is there sound?
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
You can just wait for the sound to come on.
I think
There was some.
it's weird.
I don't think you need it because you could kind of see.
Yeah, it's really poignant without the sound.
Yeah,
Everything's on, so I'm not sure what happened there.
Okay, no problem. Yeah.